All right, everybody. I am Andrew Badella. That is Juice Springsteen. Asshole and Juice live.
Hey,
What is it? What was the whole thing? Yes, Andrew
wasn't
the
it?
asshole, right?
I thought it was Andrew Jackass.
Oh, Jackass. That's right. Jackass and Juice live on the air. Shout out to Dave Meltzer. That was not me. Obviously, I don't have Dave's number, nor do I call Dave. But anyways, I'm Andrew Badell. That is Juice Springsteen. I want to give a big shout out to Curtis Cole, who opens us up every week with that fantastic song. I want to thank him for that. Juice, Double or Nothing's in the books. Saturday night's main event's in the books. We've had some Raw. We've had a little bit of Dynamite. But before we get to all that, how the hell are you?
Pretty good, Drew. Look, we had a nice Memorial Day weekend full of wrestling across the board, depending on who you talk to. Some wrestling was better than others, but I enjoyed pretty much all of it, to be quite honest with you. And I don't know, maybe it was just after last night when they were like, All In is 45 days away. I'm like, damn, let's go. It's like we're already on the road to All In Texas. It's
We
the
are
biggest show for the
100%.
United States, for
Yeah.
AEW. This is a big damn deal, dude. And they got 40 days to promote the hell out of it. And we're going to talk all about it.
We are 100% on the road to All In. That will be at Globe Life Field in Arlington, Texas. I will be there. Juice will be there. We've had some other of our good friends who will be there as well. Blake Mitchmore, maybe AP, some other people that are very close friends of mine will be in attendance. We're looking forward to it. Hopefully AEW, which I believe they will break their all-time attendance record for here in the States. So we'll see. Juice, what did you take away from Double or Nothing? And then we'll let us kind of get into everything. Give me your one takeaway from Double or Nothing and Saturday night's main event.
Double or Nothing was too long. I'm kidding. But because I don't know what you expect. You should know going in it's going to be a longer show, but pretty much everything's going to deliver. I felt the main event did what it needed to do. I think, a lot of people thought going in, Will Ospreay was going to take it. But, in the back of my mind, some other people, we were like, yeah, but to culminate in Texas with the Cowboy potentially winning the world title, that seems like an interesting idea. Wouldn't that be fun if they followed through with that? And lo and behold, they are. We got plenty of time to have Ospreay with the championship. There's so much time for these other guys. I think this might be finally, Drew, the end of the Moxley title reign.
Well, if you believe the internet, they believe that this is just another bump in the road and that it's all going to Darby Allin. Jon Moxley's going to hold on to that championship, and the Cowboy, much like the Dallas Cowboys, will end up losers this year in Texas. So, well, wouldn't it be funny if, because, we can get this rumor started. Wouldn't it be funny if Tony and AEW were sitting down at the table and they were like, hey, look, listen, you let us have this field and we'll make a Cowboy a world champion. And Jerry's like, hell yeah, we're going to do it. Give him the field. So obviously
Jimmy Johnson manage Hangman to the ring.
And
when after he wins, he goes, how about them Cowboys?
Yeah, right. So listen, obviously that's not what took place. Tony does it. He has an analytics company, and Tony actually does the analytics for the Texas Rangers. So there's a connection between Globe Life Field and AEW and Tony Khan. So with that being said, I do agree. My takeaway from Double or Nothing was Hangman defeating Will Ospreay, which was it's not a shocker, but for me, it was a little bit of like okay, very interesting. I don't get shocked in wrestling often. I will say it was a little bit of a surprise. I just like everybody else kind of thought that Will was going to head to All In and maybe defeat Moxley. But I am all for Hangman Page. It makes a ton of logical sense. If you go back and think about this, Jon Moxley was trying to get everybody to get back to the roots of AEW. And who was one of the original people? That would be Hangman Page.
He was the guy in the January video that has his phone. Right. And all the guys are looking at it, and it says AEW and Double or Nothing. It was his phone, oddly enough.
6 years ago, and now they are headed towards their biggest United States stadium show if they could outdraw the Grand Slam that took place at Arthur Ashe Stadium, the home of the U.S. Open. If you need tickets, I know people. But I will say this, to both All In and the U.S. Open, but more so the U.S. Open. But I will say this, it is very poetic what happened. It is very 6 years to the event. And also, if you recall, which I know you do because you're a historian, Hangman Page was the first man to get a world championship opportunity against Chris Jericho in the finals at AEW's first branded event in Chicago, I believe, right?
Well, no, wasn't Double or Nothing their first actual pay-per-view?
That wasn't in Chicago. That was in Vegas.
Yeah, so you're talking about All In, like the original
Right.
All In?
All Out.
Yeah.
It was All Out.
Oh, the original.
All Out. The first pay-per-view that AEW did in Chicago was Hangman Page versus Chris Jericho, correct?
I think we're getting All In and All Outs confused is what I'm thinking, to be quite honest with you.
No, I think All Out. I'm going to look it up right now. I think All Out was 2019, All Out.
Okay.
All In is the Ring of Honor show that got turned into the Wembley Stadium show.
I understand that. I'm confusing the timelines. Yes, All Out, Jericho, Hangman Adam Page. That's where it happened, in Hoffman Estates.
Yes. To crown the first ever AEW World Heavyweight Champion. Chris Jericho won it. So, again, if you're looking at this from the outside perspective and not being like, well, Will's the guy, this is AEW going back to their roots. This is one of the guys that they brought up. This is one of the guys that they, founded the company with, and it's not an outside talent. It's not Jericho. It's not Moxley. It's not even Will.
And that's the other good part is that Mox was that first, Lex Luger to Nitro thing, Mox is the guy that came down at Double or Nothing. See, that's what I was getting confused with because I was going to hinge on that other aspect of it. Mox comes down through there and it's like, oh my God, they got, Dean Ambrose. They got this guy. I cannot believe AEW is going for broke. They got TV. There's a huge pay-per-view. And now they got this big star. And now I believe I saw online the other day, I don't know where exactly the days are, but Mox is rapidly approaching more days as an AEW superstar than WWE, which it just solidifies what I've been saying is I think I'm going to remember him more as Mox in AEW than I will Dean Ambrose because of just what he's meant now to AEW. He's always been the guy to pick up the ball when anyone's dropped it. So most reliable. And I think, look, as much as we might not like or, not think that the Death Rider story has gone to what we would have hoped or maybe they would have hoped, it makes me want him to lose the title that much more. So I'll give them that. And now you got the biggest show in the United States, like you said, Mox and Hangman. I like the history now 6 years in. The history of this match is pretty remarkable.
Yeah, and it's very interesting. Again, Hangman Page lost to Jericho. Hangman Page is now fighting the guy who, like you said, kind of made that defection to AEW from WWE, who was a big star in WWE, and that being Dean Ambrose. And, Jon Moxley has taken the AEW championship. He's put it in a briefcase. He says we're not, worthy to see it and everything else like that. Hangman Page makes a lot of sense. Now, I'll say this to say that. It makes a lot of sense, but if you're going to have him drop, he being Hangman Page, the championship, to Will at the O2 in London, I think it gets a little dicey, but we'll have to wait and see. I want to see how the story plays out. But my takeaway is
it's only a 2-month window.
Yeah.
You think him holding it for a month window? Right. Maybe a little early for that. Yeah.
I don't know. I would keep it on hanger a little bit longer. We'll have to wait and see. I don't even know if Will's going to be in that. What's very interesting, speaking of that match was very good. But what was interesting to me, what we have next is where does Will go from here? Where does Will Ospreay fit into All In Texas? Or is he going to be in a triple threat against Kenny and Okada? I doubt it.
God.
You know what I would do, truthfully, which we'll get into? I would have a casino gauntlet match with the winner receiving a AEW World Heavyweight Championship opportunity. And I would have that being Will Ospreay winning that and calling his shot at the O2 in London. That's just me. Kind of like what RVD did at One Night Stand. So we'll see.
That makes a lot of sense. Although I do like the 3 guys with the last name starting with O and a triple threat. Arguably the best, Okada, Omega, and Ospreay. That's crazy.
Yeah. Again, All in Texas is going to be something that I think a lot of people sit back and they're like, "Whoa, this is a loaded card." I'm going to give, my predictions on what that will be sooner rather than later. It's very interesting as well as we approach, All in Texas. We've had Double or Nothing, Monet, and this run she's been on. Monet has not lost in AEW. Now, I know she's dropped the championship in a triple threat. That was not a sanctioned AEW match, et cetera, but a lot of people, were kind of like, we all saw Monet winning, which she did at Double or Nothing. She won the Owen, which obviously very predictable. But I will tell you, I was impressed at what the ladies did last night on Dynamite. They could have just basically, the match sells itself. Everybody and their mother is going to believe that Monet is going to win, and rightfully so. I'm with everybody. I believe she probably
at
will.
All In.
Yeah. But what a swerve it would be.
Fast, my friend.
What a swerve it would be if Toni Storm does pull out the victory and we get a rematch, I don't know, somewhere down the road.
At the O2.
Maybe. And Athena could cost Monet. You never know. I don't know, but we'll have to wait and see. But again, everybody and their mother has wanted this match since Monet stepped foot in All Elite Wrestling. And we're going to get it All In. Their 2 money matches are set. Juice, I'm going to turn the show over to you after I ask you this one.
Okay.
Because that's how we do it here on Jackass and Junk. But
I love that.
I will say this. Yeah. We're going to have to get a new header. But
I know.
I will say
we
this.
just got these new graphics and it's already outdated.
The 2 matches are set and they're main event caliber matches. Okay. 2 matches we're really not shocked about.
No.
What is 2 matches you could add to this show that you think would just absolutely make this card, which it already is to a certain extent, but would make this card can't miss? You give yours, I'll give mine.
Well, first, I do want to add something real quick. You said that Monet winning was predictable, and I challenge those who were critical of that. Why does it, why is that necessarily a negative? I saw a lot of that discourse of like, it's so predictable. Okay. Was the match good? Were you satisfied with the match? Then who cares if the outcome was predictable? Because here's the thing. You could predict either this person wins, or neither win. So there's only 3 options. So predictability only goes for a 3-choice, multiple choice. Like, it's not like it was a 1 out of 1,000. Oh man, well, this was the most predictable option. There's only so many options to begin with. So I don't like the notion of people complaining that, oh, it's too predictable, therefore it's bad.
Juice. It's the match you got to have. You have to have this match.
Well, the good matches are going to sell. Do it.
Well, and here's the thing. A lot of people sit back and they're always like, man, it's too early. Man, it's, to this, to that. Nobody ever talks about when it's too late. You got to get the match in the ring, okay? These 2 competitors, these 2 women are the 2 best that AEW has to offer. AEW is trying to make a footprint here in the United States at a stadium, 25,000 plus if they can get it. This is a match you have to have. I'm glad they pulled the trigger. It doesn't bother me at all. I'm here for the match. I'm here for the entertainment. Wins and losses in professional wrestling, obviously they mean some things sometimes, sure. But at the end of the day, it's the art, it is the sell, and it is the draw of what you could do to get people in the building to watch what you're going to do. Because at the end of the day, we all know this beautiful thing that we watch is scripted.
So you asked the question. I would say one of the 2 matches I would select, and again, don't know how we get there just yet, but I do think Okada versus Omega, all for one championship, title for title, however you want to label it. I think that is a Wrestle Kingdom match. That's those matches that have had such a panache in years past with other companies. Let's do it here. It's in AEW. We can do the matches you never thought you'd see, but now we can put it on American soil, and it is lining up to be that. So I'd have Okada and Omega. And, again, 40-ish days out. I'm not sure if we get there yet, but I'd like to see Cope and Christian versus FTR. But I don't know if that's going to take a little while to get there, because I know we got a Toronto show, and we got tailor-made for it. So
we got 41 days until the final Dynamite before All In. I don't think that match needs a ton to sell, but we are 41 days away from the final Dynamite before we head towards All In. Why don't I have an extended vocabulary. I have no idea what that word means. I could guess by the way you use it in context. Why don't you tell everybody what the word of the day is? You use, what was it, panache? What the hell is it?
Oh, yeah, like gravitas, just like levity, like the high level of importance to a match. Like it doesn't have the cachet, if you will, same type of thing.
Gotcha.
There's no juice to the match, if you will.
There you go. See, I was teeing you up a little bit. All right. So there you go. Use it. It's a good word. It's an SAT word. If some of you are watching this who haven't taken your SATs or whatever they're calling them nowadays, ACTs. But
that's a separate test. ACT and SAT are separate
whatever.
tests.
Go ahead.
It's not necessarily a match, but maybe you can kind of touch on it. I don't know what your matches are. I am curious what Ospreay does. And I'm also curious as to Ospreay, and I'm also curious as to what Kyle Fletcher does, because I think both and Fletcher and Ospreay. Well, Ospreay's already a megastar in AEW, probably the most popular guy in the company, top 2 or 3. Fletcher is right there in terms of bad guy, and I think that there should be a prominent spot for him on that card, whether it's a multi-man, like a ladder match, something crazy with a couple of those guys in it. Go right ahead.
I would say that you named 2 matches that I absolutely want to see. The interesting, caveat here is what is Swerve doing and what is Will Ospreay doing? So for me,
too, I didn't even know how I missed him.
So for me, Swerve didn't want to believe in what Will was selling in regards to Hangman, which is fine. I get it. I would have a multi-man match, a casino gauntlet for a shot at the AEW World Heavyweight Championship at a later date, whenever that, said person wins it, wants to cash it. And I would have Swerve and Will in it. Listen, the talent that they have in AEW is loaded. You could absolutely have, a lot of heavy hitters in there. Brody King.
Because that would be the most loaded casino gauntlet match. Because I know maybe the perception of a match like that is like, 1 or 2 of these guys could conceivably win. But if you load it with like all the guys you already said,
Swerve, Will,
Brody King, this guy, that guy, a returning
Darby
guy.
can return in that.
It's like I said, returning guy. So you put your top guys that don't necessarily have one-on-one or any other title implications in a match like that, that automatically elevates the card because it's a match that's a non-traditional match, but we've seen how great they can be, and with the talent
and truthfully, a lot of that stuff you can get pops and they don't have to win. You can get a reaction. That's what a pop is.
Oh, sure.
And you want to know
Thank you, Drew.
Well, I'm just saying I don't like to talk in that lingo because we're not employed by any, and we've never wrestled. So I don't like that. So I like to describe what it is. But I will say this: the other thing too, in regards to a reaction that you would get out of that casino gauntlet, a huge pop, as they say in the wrestling business, you could have Bryan Danielson in that match, and he doesn't have to win. He gets still get a major reaction though.
Just coming out is good enough for me. Yeah.
Right. And you want to know whether he's the host of All In because he can't wrestle or he does something, they're going to get Danielson on that bill to get a reaction from that crowd, and rightfully so. And again,
Jeff Jarrett should be in that casino.
Well, I mean, you could. I mean, listen, there's a lot of ways to do this if you have the casino gauntlet, but I think it should happen. You have Will Ospreay, Swerve Strickland, Bryan Danielson, Brody King. You could have a returning Darby. You could even have a returning Eddie Kingston if he's not fighting Gabe Kidd.
Especially with Brody King. You imagine if Brody's in there kind of cleaning house and then the lights go out and Darby ascends from the top of Globe Life.
Right. You could even, you could have Takeshita. There's a lot of people in this thing that you could have, and people be like, holy shit, this thing is absolutely loaded. Give Speedball Mike Bailey a shot at this as well. Yeah, there's plenty. So for me, you name the 2 matches for me. I would like to see, if we're going to go this route, I would love to see the Bucks and the Hurt Syndicate. Okay.
That's an interesting dynamic.
But I would also really like to see MJF versus Bobby one-on-one. I don't know how we get there in 41 days because you got to have that final Dynamite for All In. That's 41 days from now. I don't know how we get there, but I would also like to see that match if we don't have the Hurt Syndicate defending the tag titles at All In. Go ahead, Juice.
I'd like that match to happen between Bob and MJF, but I almost prefer to see, Bobby or someone, maybe it's Shelton, gets beat down in the back before the show, a week before the show. Maybe the Bucks do it. Maybe someone else does it. And MJF is a part of the team, and it's MJF and Bob versus the Young Bucks. And then if they lose, there's your match. Or even if they win, they still could not trust each other and have a match. So you could get that vehicle moving by MJF now because he's in the Hurt Syndicate. Hey, Freebird rule, let him defend the titles and, matching gear. Get Bob and some Burberry. I think it'd be fun.
I don't hate it. Because if we get Copeland and Christian together as a tag team. It would be cool to see them have a match at All In Texas, but it'd be really, really cool and monumental for me if they could win the tag straps in Toronto.
Yeah, for sure. That's the ultimate. Yeah, like I'd love for them to have a match at All In, but yeah, if they're gonna win something, Coleman. I mean, you're asking me to fantasy book that show in Toronto. Give me FTR, the Young Bucks, and Edge and Christian, for lack of a better term, in some sort of ladder match for the titles, and just that sells the entire show.
Yeah,
so.
There you go. So for me, I'm gonna go with the Casino Gauntlet match, and I'm going to go with because you named Okada Omega. I feel like we have to see it, and I really want to see the Bucks and the Hurt Syndicate. That's what I'd like to see.
Okay,
maybe in a ladder match.
Save the ladder match. Well, if you're gonna do, I don't know. I want Cope and Cage to be in the ladder match if they're gonna do one. I don't know if you want to do one in July and then you run it back in September so quickly, but I mean, with those teams, I guess you could. So I don't know, but so many days away, and they're gonna have to start putting pieces together. Like, this is not your traditional build. This is a longer build, and it's the show that they have not done yet. They have not done this large of a pay-per-view in the United States. So I'm very interested to see, how high do they get the attendance number to be? As nerdy as that might sound, I'm just curious. Like, could they get 30? Will they just get 20? Could they get 25? Like, where's that going to land?
They could.
I think the optics of it is going to be really interesting to me.
They could set up for, whatever, if they, open more seats, limit seating, et cetera, et cetera. But I will tell you where the stage is set up, and the, tickets that would be, allocated due to the stage. I'm going to sit back and tell you that I think 30 would be tough.
Yeah.
But 25 is very doable.
Okay.
And not that they couldn't sell 30,000 tickets. That's not what I'm saying.
No.
What I'm saying is the stage is in basically center-ish field. It's by section 132 and 133. So that is, kind of center field, almost getting towards right field. So you're taking away probably, I don't know, with not marking seats as limited or obstructed view, you're probably taking about, I don't know, 3,000 to 4,000 seats out of there in a ballpark that, holds, I think it's 40, I believe. So, and then you got to remember there's some other things that they just can't do. They're not going to sell seats behind the stage unless there's a giant demand for it. And, currently right now, I don't think there's a giant demand. They have a demand, but it's not a giant demand, but we will see. And I think, the two matches that they'd announced have helped ticket sales. It's not going to make it nuts, but I think once we get closer and closer to the event, you'll see ticket sales, increase. But why don't we get to the regular part of the show? Go ahead, Juice.
Right. And 25,000 isn't anything to sneeze at. Like, that should be a nice, solid number to achieve, and they should tout that, and I don't think anybody should be, I'm sure they will. There'll be the detractors that, oh man, they should have got 30. WWE would have got 30. Okay. Stop, please, for the love of God. I'm so over it. I'm so over. It's every day, Drew. Every day there's this against you against this, and come on.
It gets old.
It's been old.
All right, Juice, what do you want to talk about? Besides what we already ran through, Double or Nothing, we ran through Dynamite basically. Go ahead. What do you got?
Yeah, that was the first thing I was just gonna say. What else from Dynamite kind of tickled your fancy? We had a new debuting wrestler in the women's side. I like the dynamic of the Osprey. Yes. The Osprey Hangman Swerve kind of interaction of the triangle of pseudo baby faces, because they're all kind of hating each other, but everybody loves them. So
I thought Dynamite opened hot and closed hot, and that's the making of a good show. And I think Tekla's debut
ending is good.
I understand while the debut was like, why did Jamie Hayter get up? I would have just left Hayter laying. She should have stayed laying. But what I said, I meant Tekla has a presence. She has a presence, and now it's all on AEW, Tony Khan, and everybody else to make sure that presence doesn't go unnoticed and doesn't go unutilized. And we'll have to wait and see. So I'm here for it. I think Tekla could be something that AEW definitely needs in its women's division. There's this rumor going around about Mariah May. We'll have to wait and see. Everything's rumor until
Yes,
she ends
there
up
is.
somewhere.
It is a lot of
But at the
interesting
end of the
rumor.
day, if you look at AEW's women's roster, there's a lot of talent. A lot of talent we haven't seen on television in a while either. There is a lot of talent on this roster. So, if Mariah does end up in WWE, okay. I will tell you this much. If Mariah ends up in WWE, it's not because AEW didn't try or they didn't offer her a good deal. Say.
Exactly. And that's, we'll talk about your cryptic check tweet as well. So, I mean, but yeah, money talks and bullshit walks, as they say. So who knows where she could potentially end up. But yeah, Dynamite, I felt like you said, man, bookending a show is the best way to go about it, especially on TV. I think for a pay-per-view, you kind of want to just hit as many points as you can throughout the show. As long as your ending is great and you hook them from the beginning, you can still hit here and here in the middle. But on a TV show, you have commercials and you want to make sure you hook them at least to get to the end and then satisfy them at the end to get them to that next show. So I think they did a good job. Yeah, I got a bunch of random topics to go over today, but go ahead, Drew.
Well, I just want to say, onto your point about hooking them and everything else like that. I saw a lot of discourse about the length of the AEW pay-per-view. And I think it was long. I did to a certain extent because I had forgot about a match. That's all. Truthfully, I did.
What match did you forget about?
I forgot about the trios match. As soon as Anarchy in the Arena happened,
didn't they announce that as we were recording last week?
So but I totally forgot while the pay-per-view was flowing. I was like, all right, cool. And then I was just like, I'm like, all right, I am going to watch the main event right here. We're at our cabin. I'm going to watch it right here on the couch. And then they announced the trios match, and I was like, well, I'm going to watch this in bed. And then I finished pay-per-view in bed. But AEW, I feel as if they continuously show you that they want to give you their money's worth for pay-per-views, and I get it. Tony feels he has a responsibility to the crowd, the fan base. You spent your money. We're going to give you the best possible show we can. And again, it's a little different. AEW is relying on pay-per-view buys. It's the traditional pay-per-view buys. So it's a little different than what WWE is doing in other companies. So I will say this. You asked about Fletcher, and I never answered. So I want to circle back. Kyle Fletcher is a star. What happened with Adam Cole happens. It was a mistake. I understand it looked gnarly, but it happened.
It did. It happens.
Fletcher is everything that you would want in a superstar, in my opinion. Look, size, in-ring ability, charisma. So for me, I would like to see Kyle Fletcher holding gold in AEW very, very shortly. But go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with you. And yeah, I mean, incidents happen in wrestling all the time. That's why they say, don't try this at home. And I even think Adam Cole did his best to make the move look better than how it ended up. So kudos to both of them. And I'm glad Adam's okay. But yeah, it was, I definitely think Kyle Fletcher is someone that if there is no straight up match for him, or if they don't do a, multi-person ladder match or something, get him in the Casino Gauntlet. That is something I would like to see. And that's the match concept that I've been most intrigued by with AEW because it has the Casino Gauntlet.
Yeah. And everybody, the reason I ask is everyone shit on that concept. They're like, oh my God, it's overused. It's dumb. It's this. I thought it was one of Tony, if not Tony's best creation, truthfully.
You get Royal Rumble pops, right? So you get but they're random. So you kind of get surprised, even with a surprise. It's like a double whammy there. The match can end at any point, which I like because that's a triple threat match where you don't have to be in the fall to lose. So there's always that intrigue. And you start out hot too. You have whoever you want. You can manipulate the participant. It's a really unique way. I think what I have referred to it as, it's a Royal Rumble, but on with random Titan time, because they used to do Titan time of it's not really 2 minutes between, it's whenever they want, but I called it Turner time because it's AEW. So they just send guys out whenever they want, 1 minute, 2 minute, 30 seconds, 5 minutes. But I really love the concept. So I would be on board if they had that match at the pay-per-view. So
I would love to see it.
Yeah, I'd be all in.
Good play on words.
That's going to be the last one I do. I'm going to be.
That's your last pun?
No, I said it's not going to be. We got plenty of days. I'm going to be unloading puns all throughout, and I hope you're ready for it in person too. I'm going to be unloading puns.
It
So
works.
yeah, and it works for you, brother. Good. Let's talk about some other stuff that happened over the weekend. Saturday night's main event. This was I was very sports entertained by this show. I will say that. Again, bookends. You started off with a hot tag match. You get the third guy. It was a guy that beat up Seth Rollins, so that was kind of not what we had thought, but that's the best thing, give me something I'm not looking at to predict, and boom, we all seemingly enjoying it thus far. You get the very interesting R-Truth Cena match, but I'm more partial to the end. We get Cody returns to an unbelievable reaction, sets up Money in the Bank with two of the biggest. Even if you talk to people that don't like wrestling, a lot of people would go, "Oh yeah, John Cena and Logan Paul. I know those guys." They've transcended wrestling, even though their main focus is primarily wrestling. Logan Paul's isn't, but he's still a full-time guy. So a mega tag team of those guys for Money in the Bank. I really am looking forward to the Cody and Jay re-tagging, because they were tag champions for like 5 seconds last year, and it was a really positive moment for them and elevated, I think, Jay to a better status. Now he's world champion. So all that timing, kind of going back to the Hangman Mox thing, all this has been set up, and now we're getting a culmination with a fun little tag match at Money in the Bank.
And it's an easy match for John to have as we head towards Night of Champions and then SummerSlam, because I believe John probably will head over to Saudi Arabia. He'll probably take on Jey Uso in a non-title match, but it's going to be champion versus champion. Just my opinion. We'll have to wait and see. Or maybe because they can't do the Crown Jewel championship, right? I don't think they could.
They'll do that in October in Perth. That's why I think it's going to be Cena and Punk.
Maybe we'll have to wait and see. I don't know if the Saudis are going to like that too much. We'll have to wait and see.
They're getting Cena. He's just as big of a star as Yokozuna, and they wanted him.
Well, rest in peace. They got close. They got as close as they possibly could. What I will say too is, like, Saturday night's main event. Now, listen, I want to make sure I say this. I'm going to, say this. Saturday night's main event. The pacing, everything was more my type of show. I am not a huge fan of 5 to 6 hours, but at the end of the day,
you love commercials. That's what it is.
No, I love commercials. 2.5 to 3 hours to 3 hours and 30 is kind of that sweet spot. So that's my type of show. So, I want to make this very clear. Did I think Double or Nothing was a little long? I do, but am I complaining about it? No, I'm not. I'm not going to sit back and complain about it, because I felt like I got my money's worth. And again, the only thing I can say is I forgot about the trios match. Saturday night's main event did its job, in my opinion. This is a television show that did insane numbers for a Saturday night during a holiday weekend with a lot of competition in terms of the playoffs on both sides of the ball. And again, I thought the show was good. Bronson Reed, Ron Cena versus John Cena. I'm a fan. I was a fan. And it's Saturday night's main event.
It was a perfect match for a Saturday night's main event. Talk about predictability. Everybody knows Cena's going to win. Well, we thought maybe not, because it wasn't the title wasn't on the line. But it doesn't matter. It's Saturday night's main event. It's a fun throwback.
And again, for me, the pacing was some of the best pacing I have seen in recent WWE television, because there was just like boom, 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 boom. And it was like, all right, okay. And everything worked. People were like, whoa, they're throwing John Cena out now. And it was like, and then all of a sudden, the opening match was the tag match, and there was no Cody, and people were like, see, everybody believed Cody was coming back, and didn't. And then they got you at the end. But again, what I will say is, Saturday night's main event, people make it like they paid for it. It's fucking free, guys. It's on free television, and it was a good show. I don't understand what people like, worst show I've ever seen. Like, come on. That's the worst show you've ever seen. We sat through Great Balls of Fire. We sat through, some other
December to Dismember.
They were terrible, but come on, stop it. It was free.
I've sat through WCW Battle Bowl 1993. Okay, that's an awful show that I love watching because I like torturing my brain. So they did Battle Bowl as a part of Starrcade the first 2 years in 91 and 92 and felt, oh, this is such a great concept that they could manipulate to make great with, wow, look at these guys teaming that shouldn't be teaming. And yet they still like didn't do it as best as I think they could have. But they decided to do a full pay-per-view of it in 93. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I don't know. Let's talk about this. Jesse the Body Ventura never changed, my friend. Never changed. I was thrilled with his commentary work. You know what you're getting when you get him, and then him complaining about the cage thing,
Yeah.
and then people digging up the clip of him in the 80s with Boss Man saying, well, Boss Man should just take the door. That's the easier way. Like,
what's funny to me is like people haven't picked up on Jesse yet. Like Jesse does not watch the product. Clearly, he is there because it's Saturday Night's Main Event. It was nostalgia. He has I don't know how many show deal he has. WWE and him are, got back into business together. It's a working relationship. But Jesse is not watching weekly episodic Raws or SmackDowns. He gets caught up when he gets there. I'm sure he knows some of the talent. But I don't understand how people haven't caught on to this yet. Like Jesse is Jesse. He is not going to change because of the times. He's not going to. And people are like, I can't believe he's talking over the ring announcer. And it's like, dude, that's Jesse.
He'll talk when he wants to talk.
He's unpredictable. You like him or you don't. It doesn't. Does he add a little something to it? Sure. I will say this. My father-in-law watched Saturday Night's Main Event with me because Saturday night, there was a bunch of people who came to the cabin and my wife was like, hey, we're going to have girls' night. We're going to go to the bars. I was like, have at it. So I stood back with the kids and my father-in-law, my mother-in-law, and my wife went out with my sister-in-law and everybody else. I had a good time. But my father-in-law looks at me and goes, holy shit, that's Jesse Ventura. And I was like, yeah. He's like, man, I remember him when he was wrestling in the 70s. And I was like, see, there you go. That's why Jesse's on Saturday Night's Main Event.
There might be a segment of people that would be much rather going out, with your wife, going out to bars and stuff. I'm on board with you, Drew. I would have much rather hung out, sat back, watched the Saturday Night's Main Event.
All right. We have 3 children. So I couldn't just split. And I love my father-in-law to death, but he is not going to put all 3 of my kids to bed. So it just wasn't going to happen. I would have went out.
But I'm just saying, yeah, but you don't have to. It's okay to say that you watch Saturday Night's Main Event. No one's judging you for that. Yeah.
I did. I did watch Saturday
What I'm saying is, even if you chose it outside of having the kids, I think, I wouldn't have.
You know what? I'm damn near 40 and my bar hopping.
I'm a man. I'm 40.
Well, no, they're not behind me, but I mean, it was an opportunity. My wife wanted to go out with her mom and her sister, and why not? Those times are fleeting. So if you can get the opportunity, go take it. And that was me. I mean, I sit back and I'll hang with the kids and get them bathed and ready for bed. That's it. So it's
good dad.
We try.
Yeah. You should. Father's Day's coming up.
Mm-hmm. So, my son watched Saturday Night's Main Event with me. He loved it. Yeah. He did love it.
Yeah. And my dad was thrilled when I told him that Jesse Ventura was just like going off on whatever was happening. And he's like, yeah, like, you know what you're getting when you have him on, I guess. And I said, you're right. You're absolutely right. So
I thought the show was very well done, though, pacing wise.
Same. And we'll like to just tie this in because it was announced. We finally know this. The weekend in Atlanta. July 12th, July 13th.
The weekend to combat the weekend that will be the weekend.
I know, which is crazy. I love how they're like Saturday Night's Main Event, Saturday, July 12th, 8 p.m. Evolutions, July 13th, 7 p.m. Great American Bash NXT, Saturday. But they don't say what time it is, even though we damn well know exactly when they're putting that thing on head to head against All In Texas. Yeah. I'm hyped.
It is what it is.
I'm hyped to not watch NXT.
I mean, people are either like, here's the thing. This isn't going to hurt attendance because people have already made their decision to go to All In or they're not. And then people are going to go to this weekend in Atlanta or they're not. What it could do is it could divide the viewership a little bit. But at the end of the day, we're in a society and a generation now where you can have multiple screens. I mean, I have 3 TVs on a wall downstairs. I have a phone right here.
There's an iPad right here.
There's an iPad over to the left. There's a TV up here. We could all watch it. That's so, I mean, like that type of stuff is absolutely ridiculous. If they were doing the events in Texas, then we have an issue. then we have an issue.
Absolutely. And it's not, let's be real, this is not Great American Bash 97. This is NXT Great American Bash. So
No, but I will say this. If that show has like Cody on it just to make an appearance, and it has Punk to like further a feud, or like, hey,
wouldn't be shocked.
We're gonna drive down the road and you're gonna go watch me at State Farm Arena in Atlanta. So when you guys are done here, come here. That type of stuff, I'd be like, man, this is some petty shit. We'll have to wait and see.
It was also reported, this is a sidebar to that NXT might be running the 2300 arena a week before.
I think that's a done deal.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that. Okay, you can confirm that, but it was a week before the AEW residency at the same building. It never ends. But NXT and AEW aren't competition, so I guess it's just not news. We don't have to talk about it.
No, I mean, listen, I had this discussion with a close friend of mine earlier today, and I even talked about it on, I believe it's the Wrestle Collective. I jumped into their spaces. Good people.
Yeah, absolutely good people.
Shout out to those boys and girls who are in there. But I will say this. I think WWE doesn't like one thing about AEW, and that's Tony's wallet and what he does for the boys and the girls, because now WWE has had to change their stance. Days off, paychecks, tour buses, all this other stuff. It's like, hey, we got to make sure we offer these guys and girls some decent dough, because otherwise they're going to take the Jacksonville money, and I'm happy that AEW is around for that. I'm also, I enjoy professional wrestling and sports entertainment to a fact where I'm not going to sit back and be like, man, this is my company. There's a WWE logo over my head. I mean, these were gifts from WWE. I have an AEW, thing on the shelf as well. But I mean, like, come on, like, cut it out. Enjoy what you enjoy, truthfully. And the people you argue with on Twitter, it's funny because if you ever listen to these people speak, like on a podcast or on a YouTube show or something, you would not take offense to anything they say to you online, because they should not be doing any sort of media at all.
I can agree with that. You have to be well spoken, and it is not 100% success rate. I'll tell you that.
No.
It's not for everybody. I'll tell you. But
it sure is not.
A quick random sidebar. Do you think they're going to show Saturday night's main event at Cosm?
We looked into it, and we haven't seen anything yet.
Well, why not? They could it's not like they got to buy a show. They just put it on NBC. Nothing else will be on that night. Right?
So you have to understand,
everything else will be gone.
Right. So you have to understand something. If WWE is going to do something with Cosm, Cosm has their own production people that go to the event.
Oh, true.
So they would have to have people. It had to be worth their time. They'd have to have people on site in Atlanta. I don't know if that's going to happen.
Damn.
I don't know. I know SummerSlam's going to be there. I know that.
Yeah, but I'm not going to be in Dallas for SummerSlam.
Oh, I understand. And we will continue to look and see if they are going to do something. The only thing I see right now that's scheduled is 3:15 p.m. and that's The Matrix. So,
well, we'll be at All In. We'll be at the stadium. We can't.
Right. No, we're not doing. I'm just saying, if they decide to show it, maybe one of us can hightail. Yeah.
Well, how else are we going to watch it? What are you not going to watch it down there?
Choose. Do you think?
Here we go.
That if we want to watch the show, you don't think that I'll be able to get us a television to watch the show somewhere?
It's not that I don't think you are willing. I'm asking, is that a plan, or were you just like, it's Saturday night's main event?
I don't know, dude. I'll feel the vibes and we'll see what's going on.
Right now, damn it.
I don't know.
I want to be at the turnbuckles.
It depends. Maybe we'll go to the bar and hang out. And I don't know. Maybe we'll
put up on the phone like we did when we watched that WCW.
Yeah, who knows? I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Old times. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Maybe we'll go to the pool and watch Saturday night's main event. Who knows?
Doesn't sound like a bad idea.
It doesn't. It does not.
What else happened on Saturday night's main event? So we got the Cody return, the tag match. I wonder who that could be, Blake. I'm not familiar with his work. I turned the TV off. Is Dallas still losing? Edmonton scored 3 minutes in.
Don't say that. Do they really?
Yeah, I had to shut the TV off because it was the flashing lights were going crazy. What is it?
It's 3-1.
Edmonton.
Edmonton, yeah.
Ooh.
And the Knicks, I believe I flipped them off. I think they were up 11 at the half. Yeah.
It means nothing until the buzzers going on off. I don't believe anybody. There is no lead safe in the NBA playoffs this year.
No, Blake, and shout out to Blake Mitchell. He said he knows somebody who lives in the area. Blake knows we're gonna have a good time in Texas. If you guys and girls are going to be in Texas, please shoot me a DM or tag me in a Twitter post or whatever. I'd love to say hi to everybody. We will be at StarCast. I don't know which day just yet, but we'll be at your local watering hose as well. So.
I feel like we're going to be needing some water. At least I will be come Sunday. But
I will have you completely Pedialyted up.
Oh yeah, you know what? I forgot all about that. You're like, oh hell yeah! I'll Pedialyte up a storm.
Yeah, we'll be all right.
Stuff. I think I honestly, I think I began like adopting that because you did it initially. Like I planned for a long, one of those weekends, coming up Bachelor or whatever. And I'm like, you know what? I should get Pedialyte, and it saved the day.
Well, next time, shoot your buddy here a text, and I'll hook you up. Yeah, I have like pallets of the stuff. So happy to give you some. I'll bring some to Texas for you. You could ask. I don't know if it was Blake or the last time I was at a WrestleMania with somebody. I was literally like throwing boxes out my hotel balcony. So I don't know.
That seems a little dangerous, huh?
Oh, people were thirsty. They said they needed some
electrolytes. Oh, come on, Blake. We live it up.
What is this? First, bring your wallet.
Come on, give me a break. I'll bring my wallet, but come on.
No lies told you.
We're winding and dining with kings and queens.
Get some dough. Get some dough in your wallet.
I would show you my wallet, but it's downstairs. I have the Riggs wallet.
These are singles, just so everybody knows.
Yeah, but that could mean something else.
That's true. All right. So what else you want to talk about?
Okay, so we talked about the Atlanta stuff. Oh, well, just Evolution. They're not calling it Evolution 2, which I kind of like, but it's just what we all were figuring. But man, what do you anticipate being on this show? They're not going to get anchored by legends anymore. They don't have to. They could put pretty much any and all. Well, they could have them, but it's going to be your Rhea Ripley's, your Livs. It's going to be your top stars, Julia, Roxanne and Vaquer.
Well, all right, stop right there for a second, because there's a lot of people who sat back and they were like, "Oh man, I can't believe that Vaquer and Jordan were, they're like, what are they doing? Vaquer drops the title. It's not the Jordan Grace. What's going on?
I know.
There's a PLE coming up very shortly called Evolution, and I believe both of those women, I believe it was reported by Corey. His last name is escaping me right now, but I'll get it up. Corey Hayes. No, Corey Hayes.
Oh yeah.
I believe, and he said it, both of these women are headed to the main roster, and it makes a ton of sense. Not to mention, the NXT Women's Championship will be defended at Evolution. Both world championships will be defended at Evolution. The tag team championships will be defended at Evolution. And the United States and Intercontinental Championships of the women's variety will be defended at Evolution. Not to mention, I think that's where Ronda will be. It's just me.
Do you think it'll be a surprise, or do you think she'll be advertised? Because advertising it puts that show over the top to me.
I think she'll be out. I think if you're going to have her, she's advertised.
Well, because let's say she's not advertised, but she'll be a surprise. That means she's going to do something after the fact. I mean, that's easy because you got SummerSlam in a month, but kind of just thrusting her back into a title picture or what have you might not look the greatest. So I'd almost prefer her to just come back into the fray, have her big match at Evolution, maybe shock some people, and then get back into the the title picture.
Well, she could do a tag match,
And I'll ask you this. I already have my answer, but do you think it would be not negative optics, but like beneath Ronda to wrestle for the women's IC or US championship?
No.
I agree, because Becky's making that title a thing.
I think the world heavyweight right. If Becky Lynch is going to fight for it, then anybody can. But I do believe
I like that.
I believe the World Heavyweight Championship could be something she looks at. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, it's been a while since Ronda was in there. There's so many interesting dynamics they could play of who she could face.
That's true.
I'm not mad at it at all.
Sports today. Any
yeah,
updates
let's
on
go, Drew.
WWE
Let's do this.
SummerSlam tickets? I know that they were happy with the initial onslaught, but I don't believe that they, I think that they wish the continuous sales would flow in, but there's a lot of tickets left, so we'll have to wait and see. And I believe they're not offering single day tickets yet. I could be wrong, but I don't believe there's a single day yet. But there's a lot of tickets available. A lot.
Well, in other news that I suggested and then Drew ran with it and then confirmed it, and now it's double confirmed by the venue.
That's not what happened.
What happened? Here we go.
You asked a question.
Because I got an email.
Right, but I said it's very, very likely, and I kind of basically said, yes, that's what's going to happen. You did bring up the question. Yes.
Yeah. Well, because here's my thing. I don't think we would be talking about it for any other reason had I not gotten an email or like it wasn't Pittsburgh where like I was going to go to the show, because it's just taping a random episode of SmackDown. What we're talking about is they go to Saudi Arabia end of June. 2 days later, they have Raw in Pittsburgh. The time got pushed back, sent out an email, 5:30 start time. So they're going to do SmackDown taping there because it's 4th of July that following week. Gives those guys and girls a rest with their family from Saudi, all that, so they can get back on the road because the following week is that weekend in Atlanta. So,
well, and my thing is, when you brought it up, I had conversations with people who would know, and I also talked to the buildings, and they had said WWE is looking to give talent and staff off the 4th of July. And I was like, interesting. I was like, then they can't do something on the 7th, which is in Providence. So they're going to have to do it in Pittsburgh, or they would run a double taping in Saudi. But I was like, they're not going to do that because it's just not going to happen. So Pittsburgh made the most sense. And then when you got the email about 5:30, I did ask the building, and it was basically confirmed loosely that they are planning for another event to be held there. And when you process of elimination, they're not doing back-to-back Raws because Raw is already going to be in Providence. So there you go.
what do you think the schedule will be? Do you think they'll record Raw and then air it at 8?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. I
Purely
think
because SmackDown's the second show chronologically, so they would just do it like that.
And I also think this could be something where you do the draft.
I was going to ask. Yeah, I was going to suggest that. I didn't tweet it out yet because we talked about it last week, but
I think it makes the most sense. It makes the most sense, but you never say never in the World Wrestling Federation. So I don't know.
Well, to me, it makes sense because what other draft is happening in Pittsburgh in the next 12 months?
The NFL draft.
I'm just saying. It might not be. Who knows? It could be nothing. But I'm hyped, especially. I don't know. If it's going to be a 3-hour SmackDown, I'm a little less hyped because, damn, I'm going to be tired after being there for 5-6 hours straight.
Well, I mean, don't forget, Dynamite is 4 hours this coming Wednesday.
Mother of God.
Yeah.
And people complain about Double or Nothing's length.
I know. Crazy.
That's crazy. But look, we wanted wrestling all the time for all our lives, and now we get it, and it's too much. So I don't know. We can never find a happy medium, at the end of the day.
And that's the thing. I feel like everyone just lives to complain instead of enjoying the entertainment. Truthfully,
of course they live to complain. That's their favorite.
I know, but I mean, everybody. So I want to clear something up too. A lot of people are always like, why do you make fun of the review shows? And why do you call them, why you always like, you don't need a 3-hour, you don't need this and that.
You just don't think they're necessary. I don't
see the point. I don't see the point. A lot of these people, like for a major show, sure. Like the first Netflix show. Okay. I get that was monumental.
WrestleMania.
PLEs and pay-per-views. I get it. Go do your review shows, and listen, you make money off of them, keep doing them. But for me, for this bald-headed jackass, I do not see the point of it. For me, all it is you very quickly, like just being, from the hip, giving a reaction to a show that you haven't fully digested or settled in, or even tried to figure out where they're going, how they're going it. And you're viewing it from such a ridiculous standpoint because you have to have something to bitch about. You have to have something they could have done better. It's all this other stuff. For me, it's very egotistical. You just sat through 2 hours to 3 hours of television, and now you want these fans to sit through your review show for over an hour or 2 hours, I find it pointless. I find for
It's
me, it's all
redundant.
yeah, and it's all about the streamer getting their face on a camera so that they could give an opinion that they don't know anything about. Truthfully,
Here, you'd rather see this, Drew?
no, I mean I don't. Listen. To me again, I'm not going to
Wait,
sit here and critique a match.
We do 1 hour every week.
But I'm
And
not
we
going to
cover
sit
a
back.
lot.
Yeah, but I'm not going to sit back and be like, they should have ducked when they dodged. Like, get a grip. Get a grip.
Pro wrestling is not supposed to be that analytical. We
Right.
analyze it, but it's not supposed to be like, well, I think if he would have had his hand on this part of the body, he would have had a better chance to sell the move.
Dude,
Okay.
5 to 10 minutes at most. What did you like? What didn't you like? We'll see you guys and girls next week. Thanks. Now, listen, you're making money. You got sponsorships. You need to do this stuff. You're employing people. Fine. That's fine. Good for you. I get it. But for me, if I just sat through a 3-hour movie, the last thing I want to do is hear some jackass talk about whether or not he liked it or not, because I just sat through 3 hours of that. I don't know, go do something. Go hang out with your go to bed. I don't give a shit what you do, but go do something else.
Drew, unfortunately, a lot of people are perpetually online, and the internet might be the only thing that they have to cling to.
You know, I am very concerned for a lot of people who are just perpetually online. And don't get me wrong, I'll post but the whole point of this X and everything else is to interact with people in a positive manner. And if they don't want to be positive, or they don't want to, have civil discussion or, constructive criticism back and forth for both companies, I get rid of it, because I'm just like, nope. And it's just like
pointless. Yeah.
But I wonder, what do these people do when they get outside of their homes, and they have an actual interaction? Do they shake like a leaf?
No, they get on their phone because they're nervous and can't talk to people in person. And they'd rather just talk about it on Twitter about how the person that was in front of them in real life was awkward, even though it was actually them.
Yeah. I did get a question that I want you to answer first, and then I'll answer it. It's from Casa D18 Studios, who is somebody who I see in the Wrestle Collective a lot. So shout out to this user. I'm very curious what Andrew Baidala thinks about the conversation that was had about AEW targeting kids. Should AEW create a kid-friendly hour of television, maybe for YouTube, with stars like Willow Darby, Harley, and Orange Cassidy, among others, as the primary focus? Juice?
I think there is absolutely space for a show like that. That being said, and this is purely because I talk to you and you have kids, you don't let your kids watch AEW because of certain things that happen.
I don't. My son knows. Fine. My son is allowed to watch Will Ospreay when he's in a match. I don't let him watch his promos, because you never know what he's going to say.
That's right, bruv. So with that being in mind, it's not that I don't think AEW could do a show catered to kids, but it's almost as if they have to go out of their way to ignore a vast majority of their programming because it might not cater to kids. So you have to almost come up with something funny. I don't know, not a cartoon show or something, but definitely with those talents, you got to come up with something that kids could watch, maybe get a informative sense of what AEW is without having to show, blood and guts matches. Because even you say, well, Ospreay, but he was the most bloody in the cage match with Fletcher. So it's
there's some things
you can't ignore, and I don't know how they would focus that, but I like the idea. I will say that. As
a parent, I won't shelter, but I'll protect, and that's my job. So for me, here's what I would do if you want to introduce something. The puppets. Harley could do something where it is a show where it's kind of they could have a quick recap of what happened on Dynamite or Collision with the puppets, and Harley could kind of PG it, and that gives an introduction to AEW to some people. But I do believe that AEW needs to stay on the course, which is they are the alternative, and they are adult friendly.
Yeah.
Instead of kid friendly. Here's the issue, though. And what a lot of people don't understand, it's a blessing and a curse. The blessing is that Tony doesn't need the advertising dollars. I'm saying he doesn't need, not that he shouldn't want them, but he doesn't need them. So he doesn't have to appeal to a wider net. He can kind of stay where he's at, and he's got the bucks. not the young bucks, the big bucks, to stay around and do what he wants to do and have the product he wants to have. With that being said, should he want the advertising dollars? Sure. A kid-friendly show on YouTube with Harley, with puppets, would work, where it's a summary of what happened on Dynamite and Collision and even the pay-per-views, where it's just puppets, and they kind of she gives the rundown. It could be 5 to 7 minutes, truthfully.
I mean, I was going to say a half-hour show, which means you could do a couple of segments. Well, here's the thing. Would it be on TV or is it going to be on, I think a YouTube show would actually be more beneficial.
I think a YouTube show would be beneficial. And again, I think if you got Harley and you got the puppets and she had a puppet for every, the stars that were being featured and whatever, it was 5 to 7 minutes. It was quick, bing, 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 in and out. And it's just an introduction. It's the foundation for the younger youth audience to kind of know what's going on. And then when they become 13, 14 years old, they can watch and you can be a father or a mother and explain to them certain things that's going on. But again, for me, there is a market for it, but I don't believe AEW should change their overall product direction, because I think that's what separates them from WWE. And let's be honest, WWE has changed their product because of what AEW is doing in terms of curse words and everything else like that and edginess. And that's okay. That's what you want. WWE changed with WCW and ECW. It's a beautiful thing when there's competition.
And that's the whole point. And that's why I hate tribalism. We should be wanting every company to be around and stay around for as long as possible. I don't care if you don't like Tony Khan. I don't care if you don't like Triple H. Mm-hmm. They're not leaving. Like you have to deal with it. If you don't like them, turn off the.
I hope Triple H doesn't either. Just saying.
Don't clip that. Yeah. Clip it. But yeah, but yeah, you should want all these guys to they're not leaving anytime soon. And if you don't like it, don't watch it. Or watch
like I said, WWE. I don't think they give a shit about what AEW is doing in terms of this or that. What they don't like is that AEW came into the market and now they have to pay the boys and girls a little bit more. They got to give them a little bit more time off. They got to be more family friendly. They have to be more, here's a tour bus, here's this, here's that. And again, that is something WWE doesn't like. And it doesn't matter if it's WWE or if it's Coke. Coke doesn't want competitors in Pepsi paying their employees a little bit more so that they got to match them. It's any sort of competition. So don't just think this is unique to WWE. Tony is a disruptor. And good on him for being a disruptor, because a lot of people give that man a lot of shit, but he changed the industry for the best, in my opinion.
He did change it for the better part. Like for everybody involved, he's done wonders for, again, the talent. It forces companies that might have been more stingy to open up their wallet a little more. And it's not that people were trying to be greedy. We know you have the money. WWE has this. I can only relate this to baseball locally here. With the owner of the Pirates, he's got plenty of money. They make all kinds of money, but if he's not willing to spend on players, it really doesn't matter. They'll still make money. So WWE was always going to make money because of everything, and they might not have to pay the talent. But now with a competitor that's on TV and has stake in the pay-per-view game and is really funded well and has a lot of traction and is a true alternative, you don't want your talent to go there at any cost. So if you're having to pony up that money, guess you're going to have to do it, pal.
Yeah.
So, that's what I'm over the I hate WWE. I hate AEW. Okay. Well, I hate people that bitch and moan all the time, and I can't change that. So,
yeah, I mean, just sit back and either watch or don't. But like I said, to sit back and always you'd be like, this sucked, that sucked, this was okay. Here's a 3-hour review for you. Hope I change. And that's the thing. It's like these people are like, I don't like this, so you shouldn't like this. And it's like, what?
And that's what I brought up a couple of weeks ago. It's some of these people have such a large audience. It's them being negative to such an extent. What do you think it's going to do? It's going to flip all those people to hate what you don't like, which is unfair to the product as a whole.
If you are somebody who has a significant following and you tell somebody not to watch something or not to buy this or not to buy that, that is not what you're in this space for. Truthfully, you're not. And you're not only hurting the company, you're also hurting the employees of that company, which are the boys and girls, which affords you the opportunity to make a living off your YouTube and your Instagram and your TikToks or whatever else you're doing. So you shouldn't do that. I also don't like people in the space telling me you shouldn't like this person because I don't like this person, or that guy, stay away from that guy. Yeah, I don't know about him. Who the fuck are you to make that assumption? Or who are you to tell somebody not to talk to somebody or like somebody because you had a disagreement with them? Judge people by the interactions you have with them, not the interactions that somebody else had, because everybody's different. And again, you should not be in this space to tell people what to do and what not to do when it comes to watching a wrestling product for people's entertainment. Go stack marbles on the freeway.
And it's selfish. It is.
It is.
Like, I want people to watch my program to crap on a product so that that product can maybe change, so then I can like it again and flip flop. And I'm always just going where the money is instead of being authentic. And if people like me, or people watch that people don't like.
This is not about JD. Okay. JD texts me. JD calls me. I have spoken to Jerry within the past month. JD is not who I'm referring to. If JD tells people not to order a pay-per-view, then shame on him. I haven't seen it. If he does, then I would sit back and tell him this is dumb. I am not referring to JD. I'm referring to people as a whole that I see on here. There's many people who will sit back and call AEW stupid and this and that. And I can't believe people watch this trash and nobody's buying tickets for this. That is not what you're here to do. You're not. Stop. If you don't like something, cool. There's a respectable way to go about it.
Yeah.
So shut up with this. This is not all about JD. All right. Go ahead, Juice.
It's about D&J.
No, it's about J&J, Jackass and Juice.
And Junk. You already forgot.
Oh yeah, name. Junk. That's right, Junk.
And here's the thing: if you had something to say about JD, I think you'd say, "Hey, JD." You wouldn't be vague about it. You would just say,
"Call JD right now if I wanted to." That's how many times I've called out JD personally.
People commenting. That is the. I'm so glad that just happened. That guy, and there's no offense to this guy, but he said throwing shade at JD. So that guy made an assumption that you were under the current saying something about someone without acknowledging them. Oh. And then you acknowledged them and defeated that guy's assumption. And now
they'll say it every day. I mean, I'm the only person right now getting a check from AEW and WWE simultaneously.
It's a hell of a run. And guess who's getting none from either? This guy.
That's what the internet believes. So
yeah. Well, you got to read everything on the internet. It's real.
I am also very interested in buying WWE. If anybody else would like to, I'm about 8 billion short. I only got 1 billion. So if you would to,
well, the first billion is the toughest one.
Well, if you'd like to throw some money into we could work it out. I'm accepting applications. The qualifications and requirements are billions.
You can see me outside a Globe Life field with a tin can asking for money to purchase WWE. So
I like that. Arms to the poor, arms to the poor. Anybody, come on. We're trying to buy WWE, damn it.
That's going to be fun. Dallas is going to be fun. I wonder how hot it's going to be. Texas in July.
Blake told me it's going to be a scorcher. So
what are you wearing? Just all white to just no heat at all?
I don't know. I got to cover up the dome if we're in a pool or something, or because it'll burn. I'll look like a tomato.
You got to get a cowboy hat, Drew.
Yeah. So I thought about it, but then I'm going to have to be in like full jeans and boots, and I'm just not doing that in 98-degree weather.
So. Well, someone might do it.
I'm the furthest thing from a cowboy too. Don't get me wrong. I have a side-by-side. I have a four-wheeler. I can hunt and fish, but I'm not I don't wrangle animals, so I'm not a cowboy. Sorry. I don't ride horses either.
You're not going to support Hangman Page?
Carlos, no shade, buddy. No shade. This is a conversation, and I'm not confronting. I answered your question. That's it.
Here's a photo of me the last time I was in Dallas, and first time I wore a cowboy hat.
You should try that again.
So I'm not going to buy one, or I'm not going to wear one down there, but if I find one down there for somewhat of an affordable price, I may purchase one. So, because I've been dabbling in what I got to wear down there too. It's going to be hot. You're going to pick your choices for outfits wisely for sure. When you're down in deep in the heart of Texas, everything's hotter in Texas. That's what they say.
There we go.
But not too much else, Drew. I'd like to hit you with a couple of random tidbits of rapid fire before we head on out. You cool with that?
All right, let's do it. Let's do it.
Rusev versus Sheamus in a feud. You here for it?
Sure, it's a good first feud for Rusev. So yeah, I'm here for
well,
it.
You mean second feud because he beat up Tozawa.
Right, second feud. My bad.
This is a sidebar, not really a question or anything, but good on JR. Apparently, he had his surgery for the colon cancer that he was diagnosed with, and so far so good. Things are looking better for him. So hopefully, he's on the road to recovery.
God bless.
This guy's been through, a lot in his life. Different types of cancer. He's had Bell's palsy. But he's a legend. And we're all thinking and hoping that he pulls through. So,
God bless JR. God bless his family, and Godspeed. Godspeed. You should join the Death Riders. Frank, me and John Moxley have never been in the same room together.
I'm so glad. I've posted that before. You and Mox wearing the same damn black turtleneck, and it's like the resemblance is uncanny.
Griggs, hey boys, what are y'all's thoughts on a report saying WWE will book venues on Fridays close to premier college football games for that weekend? Yeah, this is their big, what is it, the Big 12?
Yeah, there's only like 2 conferences left. Yeah, Big 12 is they're doing a partnership with them.
Yeah, I've heard this. There were some rumblings about it. I think that's a full go. You should see an announcement from WWE, a co-branded announcement, very, very shortly.
And they have those belts. They love the commemorative belts. When I was at
they do.
When I was at the Pirate game, there were for WWE night. There were plenty of Pirate WWE belts, and I'm like, man, it doesn't matter what team it is.
They never miss a buck.
Love that.
Never miss a buck. Nasty Canada. I want to thank you guys for the live stream. It's an honor to have Andrew back on Live Talks on YouTube. I was missing Andrew since he left TNT. Andrew, please do a full-time YouTube. This is my one show. Like I said, I might
hate him. Why would you do one?
I might
a whole soliloquy about how you hate 3-hour shows.
I might do one. I might do like another show with like a roundtable or something where it's topical and we can, or maybe it's a PLE review, but you will not catch me doing Monday night, Wednesday night, or Friday night reviews for an elongated period of time. I'm just going to stick to my quick hitters.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad that you're sticking with what is this, week 18?
It is week 18. It's playoff time coming up soon.
Wild card next weekend. What else we got? Oh, go ahead.
TNT just had its 97th episode. Episode 100 is just around the corner. Any chance of you making an appearance on the show? My phone is always on. We'll see. I don't know.
And then JD should pop on our show for our 100th episode. That's so long, though. It's so far down the road.
I do want to make an announcement. Sorry. Juice doesn't even know this, but the next 2 weeks, I will be traveling. So there is no Drew and Juice for the next 2 weeks.
Damn. Way to put a downer on the weeks. Wow. What am I supposed to do?
Maybe
we had money to make next week.
Maybe we could do audio. Oh, yeah, that's right. Maybe I could squeeze in a show. Maybe. We'll have to wait and see.
Okay.
I am traveling for an extended period of time, so I'll have to wait and see. All right.
Hey, I always try to plug. It takes longer than I'd prefer, but I do try to get the audio of these shows up in an RSS feed. You can check out my Twitter for those. So if you miss it on video,
I forget sometimes to send them to you, so that's on me.
It's okay. I have no problem trying to get it and have it down, but it's just sometimes it's a little harder than I'd like it to be.
I get them from the fine folks at Final Bell Media, and then it's my job to send them to Juice, and I never send them. So it's my. I should just have Final Bell Media send it to you. That's my fault. My fault.
You could. We'll see. This was unfortunate, but Rick Derringer passed away. He was the guy who did Real American and the Demolition theme song, one of the best theme songs. Like, man, you could call them Road Warrior ripoffs, whatever, but Demolition, I still think, did enough on their own to kind of be. Oh, yeah. They were like the Bizarro Road Warriors. I really dug what they did, and their theme music kicked ass. So, I mean, what am I going to complain about? Thoughts on the new TNA champion, Trick Williams?
I like it.
Yeah.
I like
Do you
big
think
fan.
obligatory? Why are they burying Joe Hendry in TNA?
Oh God.
Well, what are your thoughts? Why do you what do you think maybe their grand plan is? Because it's clear that they're going to get it on an NXT guy for the buzz, and then at some point, someone's going to get that title back for TNA. I think that's the bigger picture, to steal a phrase from Wade Barrett. But
I think Trick Williams, it's just something for him to do right now. So, and I don't hate it. I would assume that Mike Santana is going to be somebody who Trick Williams probably has a match against. And I'll say Crazy Steve as well.
okay, that's out of left field. I mean, I did see some spoilers.
Isn't it his last name is what now? Let me make sure I'm talking about the same guy.
Talking about Steve Macklin?
Yes.
Yeah, I was like, I haven't heard Crazy Steve in a very
Sorry,
long time.
not Crazy Steve. Steve Macklin. Sorry.
And then lastly, I know that it's up in the air about if you're going to do any Money in the Bank stuff. So as of right now, with two people not announced in either match, who you got between Solo Sikoa, LA Knight, Penta, or Seth Rollins? You pick one of those four guys, or do you pick the field? It's going to be one of the other two.
So I think it could be interesting. I think, Seth could get screwed by a returning Roman Reigns because I need Seth away from CM Punk at this point. I don't get me wrong.
I've
Two
seen
great
enough.
competitors, but I've seen.
And that's the
but
SummerSlam match, Roman and
Right.
Rollins.
But I'm going to go with Seth. I believe that there are big plans for Seth's group. And I believe that there could be a point in time where Seth is holding the world title and Breaker and Bronson are holding the tag team titles.
And that would elevate the tag titles, I'll tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be good fodder to get us into the fall when War Games and, things of that nature start popping up. Well, maybe War Games. We don't know. They didn't announce War Games, but Survivor Series is looming, and they've done it the last 3 years. So who knows?
I also want to say this before we run out of time here. I will be announcing two major names for our SummerSlam tailgate, and you don't want to miss them. And once they are announced, I know the tickets are going to fly. One of them, they're both former WWE superstars. One is a very well-known former multi-time champion in WWE, and has really made a name for himself leaving the company. So stay tuned.
Okay, I'm interested. I won't be there, but I'm interested.
Mm.
And then on the women's side, again, two are unknown, but the field, or Alexa Bliss, Roxanne Perez, Rhea Ripley, or Julia. Damn, it's loaded with just the four.
I'm gonna go Roxanne Perez.
That's as soon as it kind of trickled out of WrestleMania. Roxanne's been my ultimate choice. I want her to win it. And then her being a part of the Judgment Day, kind of trying to get her way in there. I think her having the briefcase would have everybody being like, "Oh yeah, come on in," and Liv's gonna be pissed.
So I'm gonna say this. I think El Hijo de Vikingo is going to be somebody to watch once the Worlds Collide event is over.
Forgot about that. I wanted to bring that up. He's going against Chad Gable. I wonder if El Grande Americano will be watching that match.
Maybe. But I will tell you that I believe Vikingo will probably get into a program after that with a Intercontinental champion. And I think him and Dom Mysterio will have some bangers as we get closer and closer.
God. Dom versus Vikingo. Isn't that crazy? We just saw him, it feels like, in AEW, and all of a sudden WWE owns AAA, and it's like a huge deal. And Vikingo's just hanging out in the crowd and being a part of stories.
Yeah, and again, I see the question here from 316 MMA. He said something about what's the end game for the Judgment Day and Liv and Dom. I think Dom is probably out in terms of, because I think Roxanne Perez is going to cause some friction there, no pun intended. So I think Liv might be the one who's out of the Judgment Day. I think the whole Judgment Day is going to be done. I think Finn and JD McDonough do their own thing, and I think so does Liv, Raquel, and Dom.
I mean, it's been how long?
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been a while. Come on, I gotta
Well,
jump at that
Stained.
every time. Hey, Stained is damn good.
It is. It's a good
Yeah,
band.
big fan of Stained. I put them in the dad rock category. Stained, Nickelback, Creed, Incubus, that late '90s, early 2000s.
Incubus is
It's
dad rock.
uh,
All right, let's not make a show about this. I think Stain's earlier albums, no chance, is a dad rock. But
I'm
anyways.
talking purely maybe the period of like the peak of new metal into the early 2000s. It's just a fun term as dad rock, but I would not call it a negative. I love all of it, and I'm not a dad, so.
All right.
But I don't think I got anything else, man. A lot of wrestling happened this past weekend, and I didn't find it disappointing in any way. And we've only got more wrestling coming up. 40 some days away from All In Texas, Money in the Bank, and Worlds Collide. Worlds Collide is going to be on YouTube for free, I think.
I know,
which
smart.
is nuts, and it's a
Yeah, they're
smart move.
trying to broaden the audience of one AAA. So
Yeah, so all that happening, and yeah, Drew's not going to be here. Maybe next week we find something. Either way,
we'll get a show in next week. I forgot it's
we'll
Money in
see.
the Bank. I'll do my damnedest to be here, but I do want to thank
Okay.
everybody for joining us today. We are the top live show on X, which is a testament. Over 400 people watching right now, so I appreciate everything. It's always fun to come in here and bullshit and talk about professional wrestling because at the end of the day, it's entertainment. If you don't like it, that's fine. Find a hobby if you don't like it. Don't just sit back and hate watch anything. I don't do anything I don't like.
Right.
So at the end of the day, I hope everybody enjoyed their holiday weekend. I hope you continue to enjoy your weekend coming up. And I am at Andrew Badala right here. That is at you, Springsteen. Make sure you guys follow the both of us. Make sure you follow Final Bell Media, the fine folks at Final Bell Media, good people. Hit that bell for notifications. When we go live, you will know. Hit that like, subscribe, hit the thumbs up. And yeah, we'll catch you guys and girls next week. Juice, anything you want to plug, promote before we get out of here?
Not really, man. I'm looking forward to Raw in Pittsburgh, and now it's a double show, so hyped for that. Oh,
I almost forgot. Let's talk about Vince McMahon real quick. I'm going to make this as quickly as
yeah.
possible.
Just a little bit of
Vince McMahon. The
story.
rumor is that Vince wants to buy back WWE. Well, no shit. Everybody wants to buy WWE right now. Will TKO and Endeavor sell it? I would doubt it. Maybe for the right price. At the end of the day, does Vince have enough money on his own to buy WWE back? No. Could he find investors? Sure. Could it be Saudi? Sure. But you got to remember, Saudi already does business with Ari Emanuel, TKO, and Endeavor. So I'm not quite sure they're going to try and do that and take the company out from Ari and Endeavor unless Ari Emanuel wants to sell. And I don't see that being the case. So enjoy that. I can say that Allegiant Stadium, WrestleMania 42, looking more likely and likelier. Again, we're going to get out of here. I'm Andrew Badala. That's Hugh Springsteen. Catch you guys and girls next week. Make sure you connect with your loved ones. Hit the frog.